What's up, guys? Thanks for coming back. This will be part 2 of how to play just a bunch of different melodies or a bunch of different options over one chord progression. Remember, we're going for not just to play bar chords, not just to do some shredding solo, but all the cool stuff in between. So we're going to change up the main chord progression we're doing for this lesson. This one's going to be called, it's a 1-5-6-4. I like this. It's because it's in so many different styles of music. So if you play pop, you know, if you play slow ballad stuff, praise and worship, even some old blues stuff, that transition is in it. And country for sure. So going through what we're going to go through will give you different options. I'm going to play something that sounds similar to this. So we'll do a little loop on something that's like... The reason it's so important to learn how to play over a progression like that is because it's in a lot of different styles of music. That's kind of more of a pop, rock, you know, praise and worship, driving. You could take something like an Elton John, you know, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Same chords. If you can hear the melody line over it. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Under the Bridge, the intro, right after the intro, the main verse part. Same chords. And it's probably in a different key, but it's the same 1-5-6-4. Learning this, and I'll do another lesson on how learning one chord progression can take you through a ton of different songs, which is great. But keep in mind, there's only 7 chords in a scale, or 7, I should say, notes in a scale. Most songs only use 5 of those notes. So if you're able to kind of master how do we play over these, it's going to go a long way. One last option is same chords in like Jimi Hendrix, Bold as Love, you know? Same chords, it's those same ones. So I'll give you options. So let's dive in. If I'm going to loop that, what I would challenge you to do is hear different things rather than just these chords. Or if I'm playing A, what was I doing here? So an A. Rather than just hearing those chords, think of, remember last lesson we talked about intervals? Well, in this one, you can actually use those intervals and create some chord embellishments. So if I were to play, let's do this. Actually, I'll play it and then I'll do it over the loop. So instead of the chord, if you're playing with it, you can... So that's one option. I put some reverb on there. It's kind of a lot, but you could do any of that embellishing and it should work for a lot of the genres. And all I'm doing is taking the chord and just doing some embellishing. Go up to the 5 chord, which keep in mind the 5 chord is just an A. You know, it's just the shape I'm doing, rather. Pretend there's a 1 here, you can't fret it there, but same position, and if you know the A chord has that embellishment, well, this one works too. And then here is just a minor, because it's a 6 chord's always minor. And I'll do a minor 7th, just because I like the way it sounds. And here's just a quick embellishment. Back to the last. So I know I did a lot there, but again, I keep going back to the, I don't want to call it the math, but like the 7-note theory. Like if there's 7 notes, this is the same as the 1. So that doesn't count. It's 7 notes. If you know your theory of major scales 1-3-5, minors 1-flat-3-5, a 7th, it's a 1-3 flat 7, or a minor 7 1-flat-3 flat 7. Then you know the notes that are available to you. There's only so many that work, and also if you know the scale, you know, and you can. if you know those scales, most of the time there's only 5 scales up, which I'll do another lesson. I don't want to get too deep here, but the point is, it's not terribly hard to hit the right notes when you do an embellishment like this. Go up to the next chord. So that's one option that I think is just really cool. I'll go back to that Hendrix song. I always go to that Bold as Love because there's so many cool embellishments that he does on that. Here he actually does a scale. So I know I'm bouncing all over, especially if you're a newer player, but it's just showing you how you can take those same chords, learning some embellishments, really make a lot out of it. By the way, if the close-up on the hand is still it just takes a little while for you, don't be afraid to just go to the settings on the YouTube video and you can slow it down. You can go to 3/4 or even half speed to see what it is. But those are some really cool options. Another one, keep in mind, here's this melody line I'll play along to it, but this is a really cool one, especially in kind of more of a high pitch or high paced song. But create a melody line where the whole thing is the same, maybe except for one note. And I don't mean, if someone's playing this and you're on stage and you're shredding, that's cool, but it doesn't, you can only do that for so long. There's gotta be these underlying melody lines, especially in the studio or if you're playing live, that draw the listener in so that they're humming along to something besides just the vocal melody and just that rhythm track. So let me give you an example of what I mean. I could do something with as little as probably 3 or 4 notes and just make one change every time I play those 3 or 4, and all of a sudden the ear, it has another piece of candy to attach itself to when it's listening. So let's do something like... Again, that was just one, and those are just in the scale. So not terribly hard to figure out what they are. But again, if I do it, I'm playing the same notes as the chord. So I'm on the A here, or the 1, so it's a... And then that's the second note. And you can even maybe make a harmony with it if you want. And then... So a very cool concept where you can take a quick little 2-3 note melody and just change maybe the first note of it. If you don't like that, try maybe changing the second note or the 4th note. But typically something that's going to keep the ear listening is really fun. Another thing you can do with that is octaves. So if you know your scale, you could take those notes and all I'm doing there is playing octaves, and that sounds pretty cool when you're... So for an octave, if you're playing on the high note, it's just 2 strings over and 3 frets down. And then the same thing on the B string, which is the 2nd string. It's just 2 strings over, 3 frets down. Now if you go down to the G, it's actually going to be 2 strings over and only 2 frets down, not 3. But the same with this D string, or you could theoretically also say the bottom E string. So they're just 2 frets apart and 2 strings apart. So any of that works as well. So drop me a comment on what would be the most helpful genre to play along with, because within each one of these there's all kinds of guitar layers. You could take these in any number of directions, but if we want to get a little more laser focused on one, drop me a comment. I'm curious to hear what people are playing so that I can focus this to that. There's a handful of progressions where if you learn them in any key, you didn't open yourself up. Say if you learn 3 progressions, 3 songs, you probably opened up 300 songs that you could theoretically play, because it's the melody that's over them that sounds different, but the chords are all the same. Just switch the key. So check out that video too. I'm going to launch that one as soon as this one's over. But at any rate, I think as a recap, so we've done the reverb drones, we've done the single notes, we've done those creating melody lines, we've done in chord embellishments, we did intervals back on that first lesson. So there's a ton of cool things that you can do that are at your fingertips. What I would encourage you to do, play along with the looper, play along with trying these. Don't just try one and move to the next. If you're going to do the octave one, give it a day. Be able to, one, know the scale enough to be able to move up and down, but 2, be able to move up and down the neck in a way, because oftentimes when you do it, you can either stay on the same 2 strings and go all the way up and down, or you can do that too, where you're switching in and out. So at any rate, I appreciate you guys watching this. Do me a favor and just like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to rock the journey. Keep enjoying the journey, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.